Hi, back at home at digesting beer with Stefan, and just back from Maine. I have one of the most popular IPAs floating around Maine right now, Bissell Brothers Substance IPA. And this one I had last year when I went to Portland, and it was very good, very hazy, very aromatic, new wave New England style IPAs. And I haven't really had it actually since. I tried a whole bunch of other substance beers when I was there. They have a mainly hoppy ale, so they make. I had their rye pale ale, their very popular, renowned now Swish double IPA that was very good, and their IPA made with New Zealand hops. And also I got some cans of their hoppy amber ale. And this one is kind of a slightly more classic American IPA, though all of their hoppy beers are not in the classic styles exactly. They just use more classic hops, perhaps, in this one. It's 6.6% alcohol. They use Falconer's Flight, Centennial, Apollo, Summit, and Chinook hops. And mostly two-row malt, but they also have flaked wheat, oats, and some flaked barley in there too, to add a little bit of body, probably, because it's very dry, as I remember it. And Falconer's Flight is actually a blend of all the classic C hops, starting with the letter C, from America, like Centennial and Chinook and Citra and Cascade, Columbus. And they actually add extra Chinook and Centennial to this one. But I don't remember it being extremely piney, pungent, woody, like some beers made with these hops would be. And the Falconer's Flight blend tends to be a little bit more tropical and bright and fruity and citrusy, I think. So I'm interested to try it. I think it's gonna be pretty good. I don't think I was super blown away last year, but I liked it a lot. I liked it more as I drank it, and it's super hazy. I can smell it already. It definitely has a Trillium thing going on. They're not exactly the same. They use bigger blends of different varieties of hops at Bissell Brothers than Trillium, but they don't do as many different styles of beer. But this is just looks beautiful. The big, voluminous head on there, and I can just smell it all over the room already. It's tropical, but it's not in that mosaic and citrus style. That can be also really green and like a salad with onions, but then also mango juicy. This is, it's pretty mango-y too. And like a little bit of pineapple, but just a little bit different from those. Because missing mosaic and citra, which is kind of cool. They're able to make a beer that is this tropical. And like some really soft orange Julius type orange aroma, maybe mandarin, but almost like orange vanilla, like if you've had those weird sort of smoothies called from Orange Julius. Like creamsicle maybe is a good way to describe that aroma, because it's not exactly like a bitter orange aroma or vanilla. And it smells like kind of candy sweet, but it's not really passion fruity or cakey, like something with lots of citra would be. I mean, but when I think about it, maybe it is a little bit. They're doing. I guess there's probably citra in the Falconer's Flight blend. I guess now that I think about it, but it's not overwhelmingly citra, because that can be spicy and green. I'm not getting many green notes yet. Ooh. Yeah, it's still pretty creamsicle-y in the flavor. Not too full of a body. The haze obviously adds a little bit, but it's not ridiculously carbonated. Just the hops just help the head stick around. I feel like some Trillium beers are a little bit more carbonated, but this is plenty carbonation. And it's it's pretty dry. But those sweet flavors work so well. It's not too bitter at this point, but I only had one sip. It's not quite fluffy, but it's light and pretty textured. After 2 sips, it's like, oh yeah, immediate cat tongue feel. Every single taste bud scraping on the roof of my mouth. But not a fatiguing bitterness quite yet. But it's very nice. It's definitely pineapple and grapefruit. It's not an overwhelmingly bitter grapefruit, but some ruby red grapefruit juice is in there with some pineapple juice and some lemon juice. And very floral too. I think that's a little bit of what's coming from the classic C hops like Cascade and Centennial. And also this can is 2 days old, so it's ridiculously fresh. That's what I noticed about like Cascade and Centennial and Columbus and those hops, that they, after a few weeks, they can start getting more piney and earthy and herbal. But when they're fresh, it's more citrusy and floral, and that's what I'm experiencing a lot, with just a little bit of a tropical thing going on too. But lots of nice, delicious vanilla orange and roses. And there isn't any kind of harsh yeasty mineraliness or astringency very much in the finish. It's very soft and just lingers with spice and fruit. Like I've had some other IPAs that are done with this equal amount of like aroma and using similar hops to these newer style IPAs, and often the ones that are really filtered have a little harsher of a finish, a little more stringency. It's not quite as juicy, fruity of a lingering. There's more of a bite to it, if I can describe it as well. And it still bites, but it's a different, it's a more pleasant bite. It's not quite as perhaps medicinal or just pure bitter kind of not fruity, juicy aroma. But I'm sure if you age this this can for over a month or 2 months, it will not be a nice bite anymore. But I'm enjoying this a lot. I guess it's kind of a similar style and place as the Fort Point Pale Ale from Trillium. I think that one might be just as bitter, maybe slightly less bitter than this, but they're both like 6.6%. That one focuses on Citra and only using one bittering hop. This has a pretty good blend of hops, but it ends up getting out a really nice citrusy, juicy, tropical flavor. It's leaning a little bit towards citrus, I'd say, but it's still extremely freshly squeezed, not too bitter. I'm not getting too much bitter peel kind of bitterness. And there's very little onion, green, or smoky kind of finish that you might get, especially from using lots of Mosaic hops. I noticed in their Lux Ale, that's Mosaic and Centennial, that you can get that kind of smoky green onion aroma that I don't mind, but I think in this beer it really helps the citrusy elements come out more and just be a slightly different beer. It's kind of doing this newer wave style, but with showing that you can make it just as good in a different beer that's interesting on its own, without using loads of Mosaic or Eldorado or Equinox or Citra hops. There's a little bit in this probably, but it's not overwhelming. They're capturing a nice, intense juiciness without the kind of smoky, oniony, maybe sometimes sort of armpit cat pissy elements that can come out. I'm not getting rid of that at all from this beer, even though it's not super cold. It's just a soft creamsicle. The only thing that that I'm wanting. Maybe it's maybe a little more body, but I don't know. I like that it's so refreshing and dry, and there isn't too much sugar or too much carbonation to give it just a little too much of an oomph. And I like that it's 6.6% alcohol, because a lot of the beers people line up for are more than that. And they do all this with just one round of hopping. Yeah, I'm glad I got way too many cans of this. I'll share them, but I will drink them as fast as I can while still enjoying them, but drink them while they're fresh. I'm going to give this one an 8.75. It's really well done, and it seems like it's even more unique than their other beers. They're kind of going for a specific thing. Like, I really like their I Lucky beer. One of my favorite beers brewed with ginger. That one's brewed with like lemony hops and ginger and rice, and it's got its own specific thing that actually works really well. But then their Mosaic Rye IPA Lux, I like it a lot, but it's like, it's just doing the Mosaic thing. And even their double IPA Swish, mainly Mosaic Citra double IPA, which is the same thing that everyone's doing. And it's delicious, and people line up around the block for it, but I see why people are still lining up nearly every day for getting this beer. It kind of bridges the gap between the hazy aromatic new wave, new hop kind of New England IPAs and the older hops that are just a little bit more citrusy and floral. Yeah, some beers that get a little bergamot spice. It's not even that intense. It's still juicy. I'll do an 8.75 out of 10 for Bissell Substance.